Hello, everybody. Byron here. Welcome to episode 6 of the Who the Hell Asked gaming show. I am your host, Byron, alongside my co-host, Mr. Not Captain Crunch, Slade.
Not kept what? Hello there. There a reason for the nickname, Byron? Am I lost?
Yes. Okay, so, as you can see on our screen, we got a few topics. LucasFilm's games is back. Bowser's Fury got revealed, but... Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube channel GameXplain.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. YouTube channel GameXplain. Kind of had some controversy happen over the past 8 days. I want to say.
Yeah, about a week and a half to say the least.
So yeah.
For those who aren't in the know, there's been a lot of controversy in regards to crunch as well as payment. GameXplain.
Yes.
Byron, what do you know about the situation?
So this all got started, as you can see on screen. We have a Reddit post from a Redditor by the name of Redditol, who detailed that during a episode of the Good Vibes Gaming Today's News Tonight show, and for those who don't know, Good Vibes Gaming is made up of former GameXplain members, and we'll get to them in a moment. But during their talk about games, one of the members, Steve, mentioned reviewing Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that he had 48 hours to play the game, write a review, edit a review together, and get it up. Now, does that sound like a nightmare to you, Slade?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a JRPG for the most part, even though it's more of an action RPG. Even if you bum rush the game, like straight up, that's a 30 to 40 hour like game playthrough of just the campaign itself.
Yeah.
So even if you did that straight without sleep, that would still only give you around 6 to 8 hours to fucking write up the review and everything. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that was insane when I read that, because I'm like, isn't Final Fantasy VII Remake like a 30-plus hour game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you've played it, you would know. But, like, yeah. So, that sparked an entire shit show. So, our GameXplain, for a brief period of time, was taken down. The sub by you GameXplain, who internet detectives have figured out it may or may not have been Andre. How insane does that sound, Slade? Taking down your own subreddit.
That's pretty insane, but kind of makes sense at the same time, because if you're trying to shut down discussion in regards to painting you and your company as bad, then shutting down a social media forum where people specifically talk about you and your company seems like that would be a play that they could make.
Yes. So apparently he is no longer a moderator of the subreddit. Good on them. And so on a forum site called Reset Era, which used to apparently be known as a NeoGAF, various members of Good Vibes Gaming, former GameXplain members, made various statements about payment, including Steve, who apparently this was in discussions to have a $550 flat fee per month, not per video, without any additional performance-based incentives, which sounds like a nightmare. Doesn't it? $550 for that? For a channel that I would assume, because they're a popular channel and get hundreds of thousands of views, makes a couple $1,000s, maybe. Around there. And including a detail that after Derek had left, Andre offered Steve a full-time position for $50K annually with 25% of sponsorships. And so that was his statement. We have a statement from Derek via Ash. Just lists some stuff. And about apparently stating Andre said a reason wouldn't be able to make Derek a full-time if he streamed was that apparently if he wanted to stream on his own Twitch channel, he would be considered a freelancer and would immediately have his pay removed with rates estimated at $15 to $20 per update and $100 to $150 per feature or review. How do you feel about that amount per
Wow, that feels extreme. So he couldn't stream on his own channel?
Stream full-time. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that is the wording. Obviously, we'll have links in the description below. We're just gonna...
He didn't want to make him a full-time employee, but at the same time, he didn't want to allow him to stream on his own channel full-time either. Am I understanding that right?
I think so. Getting big fucking WWE energy because funny story, Slade. There was a time where like I think back in like October or November, WWE did not want their wrestlers streaming on Twitch or using like third-party services like Cameo and whatever. Kind of getting that energy from this.
They can't have their own brand or anything like that outside of WWE.
Yeah,
kind of stupid, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
That's even worse than what I thought.
And apparently around September, Derek joined a voice call with Andre to discuss GameXplain going forward. Turns out he had a PowerPoint presentation prepared about how COVID had affected ad rates, lowered income, still paying him the same, fighting him when updates had to be done, and apparently how Derek was bringing in less money for the channel than what he was being paid for. And it ended with a question of whether I was still loyal and still wanted an official full-time position. And he said, again, with a baby on the way, I was scared to the point of meekness because I felt I couldn't put Amy, Derek's wife, and the baby in that position. Doesn't that sound kind of nuts?
That is pretty nuts. Especially for them all to be quote-unquote friends, and you don't really prepare PowerPoint presentations about money and whatnot with your friends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Oh, and apparently, I think this kind of answers a question I had later. But apparently, an NDA was included in the contract. Tucked in the many points listed was a non-compete. Basically, if I signed a contract or left was fired from GameXplain for any reason, I'd not be able to work in the same space for a year. He took that to mean no YouTube, no games media, nothing. A lot of people trying to figure out blah, blah, blah. And apparently they were able to get Good Vibes Gaming off the ground.
So he didn't sign the contract, right?
Yeah, I assume so. So we have Brandon, apparently was a freelancer for GameXplain. He made a statement. And apparently he helped with a 10th anniversary of GameXplain video. And he put in 15-20 hours into the video and was paid $150. So I think what the fucking math? Yeah, and then later offered an opportunity to edit every episode of the Game Club, which was a Patreon thing, and apparently was offered had to do, and I asked for a pittance of $65 per video. $65 per video?
Right.
Well, but yeah, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so apparently this dude was also asked to edit the Super Mario 3D All-Stars review.
Oh.
Worked entirely up to the night, up until 45 minutes on. Andre's Twitter made it sound like he worked through the night when it was him. He didn't finish writing his review until that evening, putting me into a corner and allowing him to coast through that night while I worked. Wow. Wow.
Pretty crazy.
That is nuts. And then we have a statement from Ash himself. Nothing too noteworthy in this statement, I believe. But he still put his mind out there. And so, kind of insane, the stuff that the stuff that is being told in these stories, isn't it, Slade?
Oh yeah, and then just looking at the fact that a lot of these guys, they weren't able to pay their bills and whatnot, while also being subjected to ridiculous amounts of crunch.
Mhm.
Just goes to show that I guess the YouTube channel, kind of owned by somebody else, isn't exactly super profitable. I don't know.
Mhm.
All in all, I think that Andre's a piece of shit. Um, really kind of indefensible for the most part when you have people working as much as they do for as little as they're making.
Oh,
But
speaking of, there was a time where Steve apparently had worked for GameXplain for almost a year without pay. Yeah.
9 months, right?
Yeah. According to Steve's wife, yes, there was a promise of pay. When it didn't come, Steve asked a couple of times, and Andre told him, "Yeah, we need to sit down and figure that out," but never arranged for the sit down to happen. When Steve was in Seattle for PAX, he confronted Andre in person. That's when he began receiving payment for his work. He was never back paid for the 9 months prior. Holy shit! 9 months. 9 months.
They should be able to sue for that. You should be able to sue for that.
Yeah, should be. Will it happen? I'll give you my thoughts on that later. And apparently also John, who also had left GameXplain. He was a recent-ish addition, and now he works for Nintendo Life.
Mhm.
And apparently from he had worked at GameXplain. He was an occasional guest from April of 2017 to November of 2017. Didn't get paid what was paid for the first time on August of 2018, which was, I think, when he became more a part of it. And he had also made some content for GameXplain in April of 2018. So he hadn't been paid from April, when he first really started being a part of GameXplain, to August. So he didn't go as long as Steve without payment. But yeah.
So that tells me that's a normal occurrence that they do to their employees.
It seems like. And then he was paid 280. I think that's the pound? No, that's the euro symbol, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. 280 euros a week. His pay eventually capped out to 480 pounds a week in January 2020 after tax. This is around 20K a year for who knows how many hours of work. The channel made more than my annual income every month. So we at least know GameXplain made at least 21,000 pounds or euros more a month. Probably even more than that.
And that was his annual income, which was really sad.
Yes. Yeah. So we're actually gonna go. Where can I find it? So Andre made a statement. He made two different statements, but we'll get to statement number 2 later on. So Andre made a statement, which, to sum it up, basically sounds like PR alphabet soup. I don't know if you, Slade, saw the first statement that Andre made.
I believe I have. I could always pull it up real quick too, but it did definitely seem like it was straight out of some sort of legal counsel, like corporate PR speak. Like, oh, I worked with a team of talented people, and I'm grateful for their contributions. Some shit like that, or something.
Yeah, and I do find a little bit of irony. Now, obviously, the line about "I promise that I am absolutely committed, open, ensuring communications, positive life for the team," but still, in funny irony, he says, "ensuring open communication." If you see on screen, who can reply? People at Andre Seegers mentioned can reply. Guess who he mentioned? Nobody. I just find that a little funny. Now, I know obviously that line was meant to be more towards his team, his current team, but I just found that line funny. And speaking of the current team, oh boy. Joey Ferris is still a current member of GameXplain, and he makes a tweet longer basically saying that he has had a good experience and that he is being paid enough to support my wife and myself, but not once have I been pressured to overworked. As a matter of fact, I've been encouraged by Andre not to burn myself out on the job or take on more than I can handle. Now, is this true? Who knows? Obviously, he would know a little bit more. He is obviously currently working under GameXplain. So maybe he is with the current crop of talent. Who knows, right? It's very possible. It's very possible. In a funny, ironic twist, though, let's go over to the next page. So, Ashley Bowling, Steve's wife, apparently was blocked by Joey because apparently she liked a few tweets that were critical of his statement in support of GameXplain. That is, IMO, a petty reason to block somebody. But that's just me. I don't know about you, Slade. I think that's kind of a petty reason to block someone on Twitter.
It's definitely along the lines of he's defending the company that he works for. I don't know if it's like corporate brainwashing or however you want to get about it, but essentially he's making his stance very clear that oh yeah, I love my job, this is a great place to work, I don't know what the hell those other people are on about, I've never had an issue.
And now,
pretty much silencing anybody who disagrees.
Now, on his experience, maybe that is his experience. Who knows? I'm not gonna blame the guy too much for just stating his experience if that was actually his experience, because he only has his experience to work off of. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's basically that. Someone who had worked for GameXplain, someone by the name of Brainchild, who I think did some Wii U analysis stuff back in the day for GameXplain, on Reset Era, confirms that Andre definitely attempted to reach out, at least to him, and asked for positive statements about my experience with GameXplain before he released his official statement.
And there's the smoking gun.
Brainchild did not respond to his message, unless you count blocking him as a response. And Andre eventually rescinded, aka deleted, his request. Keep in mind, not sadly until I found out about the channel's real revenue and realized I had been well and truly swindled. So apparently, Mr. Brainchild had been well and truly swindled. That can mean multiple things, but more than likely probably means money, but who knows. But yeah,
definitely money.
And to be clear, he's only sharing this info to provide people perspective. You all are free to draw your own conclusions about what happened behind the scenes based on my account, but just know that this is only my personal anecdote, which, yeah, that's, I think this sentence overall is my general take. I'll give my more detailed take in a moment, but this is generally my take. You are all free to draw your own conclusions about what happened behind the scenes based on people's accounts. And that people are just putting out their own statements. All right, moving on. There was a statement by someone who had been a mod for the GameXplain Discord server, and that apparently there was just some stuff that happened behind the scenes, some frustration, blah blah blah. Made no effort to take responsibility for this, and eventually told the mods, hey, you all are going to have to deal with this soon. Good luck. Which is kind of a shitty thing to say to a Discord mod. I think, as a Discord mod, I'd say pretty shit thing to say, right? Like, hey, good luck. I'm not taking responsibility. You all are. even though the Discord mods didn't have a damn thing to do with this. They're just Discord mods.
Right.
And so Andre put out one last statement. And basically it discusses some of the things like the first, like, the $1 to $2 an hour thing, which was a thing that was talked about, and apparently I think people came up with that number based on the numbers that John had given. So I think that is where the $1 to $2 an hour is coming from. Which I will say, Andre, maybe you didn't do the math. Or he says, oh, maybe the individual in question was spending far more time on these assignments than I ever possibly realized. And he says, if this was an issue he'd been made aware of, would have immediately taken action.
So he's either claiming to be either an asshole or just ignorant. Here's basically how I'm reading this.
Yeah, he says, regardless, the general point of pay being too low for the workload is fair, and we've since addressed this with better pay, combined with clear expectations and timelines, both for contractors and full-time employees. If that's the case, good on you. If that's actually the case, and obviously, actions speak louder than words, and so we will see that in the next couple of weeks, couple of months, years. Yeah. So, next, working on severe overtime to finish the game before embargo. This shouldn't have happened, period. The reviewer seemed eager to dive in, and I got caught up in their excitement. Blah, blah, blah. We've addressed this to improve further. Alright. On-time payment, yes. Oh, he does admit to this. Yep. I often did take an unnecessary amount of time to send out payments, and there really is no excuse. There's a lot of work that goes into managing a channel this size, with the task and notifications constantly beckoning for my attention, and I'm unfortunately forgetful and easily distracted, but that doesn't excuse anything, and paying my staff should be a top priority. He has since taken steps to ensure that this doesn't happen again by automating payments through a payroll service. Again, if this is the case, A, you should have done this earlier, but B, at least you're doing it now. Like,
right.
if this is actually happening. Like, but yeah, so that is, I guess, as quick of a TLDR as I can give without going into more detail. There are channels that, and obviously you can read into the details of everything else. And there are some other statements from other people who have worked with GameXplain that I'm showing on the screen right now. But yeah, overall, this GameXplain thing, it was a wild ride. As the guy on the show who kept up with this more so, it was a wild fucking ride. Like, seeing this happen roll in front of my eyes. I'm like, wow, this is just, whoa. Like, right? This is insane to follow at the time. And Slade, this must have been insane, like, catching up on this. And hearing some of the stuff from my mouth and from, like, what some of these people have typed. Right?
Yeah, honestly, just following this whole situation overall, I didn't realize there was such a huge crunch issue with gaming journalism as well. I suppose that's just the industry of video gaming overall.
Yeah.
It just seems to be crunch pretty much everywhere, which really sucks.
Yeah.
And then reading this also just goes to show that not everybody's really cut out for running a business.
Yeah.
Or at least not ethically so. And what I get from Andre is he's ignorant at best and completely negligent at worst.
Yes. Yeah. Before we get into our final general thoughts, there is one more detail that came out yesterday. Andre is now apparently a spam comment or a spam comment on the GameXplain channel. What a way to top off this topic! Just a nice little bow to put on it. So I've been talking a lot. I'll let Slade give his thoughts first. What are your thoughts on this whole shit show that has been the GameXplain?
Really sad because GameXplain to me was always where I went for mostly Nintendo news and whatnot. I had watched and followed the channel very frequently. when the employees started leaving left and right, I didn't quite understand, what's going on outside of, oh, maybe they're just wanting to do their own thing.
Mhm.
But as soon as I saw that video from GVG,
Yeah.
that's when, I started to get a clear picture of what was happening. I honestly think Andre is a total piece of shit. And I'm glad that everybody from GameXplain, gone on to bigger and better things. And I hope to see more from them.
So yeah, overall, like, the wild ride to have been on live, I guess in the sense of how like internet drama unfolds. So when John, Steve, Derek, and Ash all left GameXplain in a short time apart from each other. At first they were like, "Oh yeah, this is cordial." I'm like, hit the emergency button. Who's sus? Who is sus in here? Because I'm thinking, okay, these four have left all at the same time. Four people don't leave one place at the same time just because, oh, we're going to go off and do our own thing. I knew there was probably something in the water here, some other backstory that we don't know. And
now that you're bringing that up, this reminds me of the whole machinima situation with Inside Gaming and whatnot.
Oh, I did not. Oh, you probably know a little more about that situation. Go on and explain.
I don't know a terrible lot. All I know is they liked their team, and they made their own channel called Funhouse for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess working with Machinima was apparently really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Machinima eventually went out of business, and they ended up getting their moniker of Inside Gaming back from them.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, I think, last year or the year before they ended up getting it back. But
oh wow,
that was something that it seemed really similar to this situation. I'm not sure of the details. It's been a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
But you could definitely look into that. I think there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, and like I said, four people just don't leave because they want to do their own thing. Now, a question I had was, why weren't they saying the truth, or why their actual reasoning for leaving back in, I think, fucking October? I might have the answer. Now, this is a Byron speculation. Me putting on the tinfoil hat. Maybe the NDA that was mentioned earlier could have potentially included that if they signed one. Or maybe they signed one before, like, they left, like, whenever they had a contract or whatever. That's my tinfoil hat theory on why they didn't say, oh, we left for X, Y, and Z reason back in October, instead of it being, I wouldn't say casually mentioned, but it was mentioned during a GVG Today's News Tonight video.
Yeah,
like 3 months later.
When they brought it up during that GVG video, they weren't trying to light the internet on fire or anything.
And yeah, and like the tone that these three have had, like oh, we just want to, like, we're just putting our stuff out there. We're putting our accounts. We just want to make peace with this whole thing. Put it out, be done. That you're probably right on that, Slade. That's probably the vibe, you could say, that I'm getting, the good vibes.
Right.
But yeah. And now I was surprised. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was surprised Andre made statements, because obviously there was a chance he could get canceled. You know, like how some other people have been canceled.
Well, to be fair, I think that he was already heading in that direction anyway. Whether he said something or not. And he probably said something as like a bit preventative.
I don't know, like, because my mind has kind of gotten changed on cancel culture. Shout outs to Devin Nash, great video. Go down in the description.
Yeah,
but
Devin Nash, smart guy.
He changed my mind on cancel culture because he brought up a couple of examples, like Keemstar, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Like, they double downed and look at where they are now. Or like he made a comparison of like two different gaming CEOs. Like one made a statement, one didn't. The one that made a statement got destroyed. Some people thought, oh, he was saying something about like the Evo people as statement number as like character number 1 in that story. But yeah. And like cuz that changed my mindset, cuz I'm like, yeah, like saying nothing makes the drama go away. Like it'll go away cuz the internet never forgets, but people forget. Am I not wrong on that, Slade? Cuz people
I mean, you're right, but were you comparing the situation with Evo with Joey Sellers
no. No, that was
versus
no, that
somebody else? Because
that was what
I don't
Devin.
think it mattered whether Joey Sellers
Mhm.
made a statement or not,
No, I'm just
because he was a pedophile,
no,
and that show was getting canceled regardless.
yeah, well, I was just saying that was what some people thought Devin Nash was saying for his comparisons, not what I thought. So,
I
but
think he's right in regards to Logan Paul and
the Paul brothers,
Keemstar and whatnot. They kind of embrace their toxicity or whatever,
yeah,
and
and
that's why they
like
don't get canceled.
yeah, and like good people that make statements that try to actively change.
Are the ones
Unfortunately,
who end up getting canceled? Sure,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
but
don't think that the Joey Sellers situation is really incredible.
well, yeah, obviously
Because
that's a
he's a
completely different
pedophile.
situation. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I just want to make sure that's clear.
yeah,
Like, no, it doesn't matter whether he said anything or not. He's very clearly a pedophile.
yeah. But with this GameXplain situation, here's what I thought was going to go down with that whole situation. Obviously, the today's news tonight video happened. And then what I figured was that, okay, the guys would make their statements eventually. And then Andre would just duck down low and basically no longer be I guess, I don't know if you want to call it like an on-screen or like on-voice like member of GameXplain anymore. That he would more so stay like a behind-the-scenes guy, and he would let the new people basically be the voice, I guess, of GameXplain. And Andre,
Yeah, honestly, that's something I could have seen panning out for him.
yeah, and like Andre basically becomes like the background player, the boss in the background, which is what I thought was going to happen. I didn't think he would make a single statement, let alone the fact that he would make 2 statements about this.
No, he seemed like someone who's earnestly trying to not be canceled. Is how I'm portraying what happened.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, Good Vibes Gaming has gained, I think, 30,000 subscribers on YouTube out of this. They've gained a couple $1,000s on Patreon. So, for the Good Vibes Gaming boys, this whole thing worked. Maybe they didn't want this to like spiral out into drama, but I guess it worked out for them well enough.
Right.
I think GameXplain, Andre's reputation is going to take a hit. Will the channel's reputation take a hit? I'm not sure on that. Time will tell on that one. But I think like in the immediate future, Andre's credibility is a little in the tank right now.
Oh, for sure.
IMO. And yeah, obviously this is the only time we're going to talk about it unless something big happens. If nothing big happens, this will be the last of it. Right here.
So,
and
moving on to more lighter and actually good news.
Yes.
The trailer was just recently released for Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Byron, did you see that yet?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. It was all right.
And quite a bit to unpack there.
Yes,
So,
there is.
It kind of looked like they added a Super Mario Odyssey level to Super Mario 3D World, especially the collectible. I think they're called cat shines.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of stylized like a Odyssey level with like the control style of like apparently they updated the control style for 3D World in this version, but yeah. It's
and then not only that, you have a interactive kind of boss with the world / level.
Yes.
In terms of what, Fury Bowser? Is that what they're calling him?
Yes, Fury Bowser. Yes.
And I think it's really cool to have a boss that kind of changes the landscape of like the world, the level, and whatnot. He kind of attacks the whole world as a whole. Really, kind of feels like a Titanic kind of monster actually being played out to
Yeah.
its full potential outside of just a boss fight.
Yeah.
Like, it literally affects the world and the level, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty cool thing.
But I think the one thing that stood out to me most
Mm-hmm.
is the Bell Mario grab, which in turn turned him into Super Saiyan
And
Cat
what?
Mario.
Yep, on
No,
screen.
wait, I said that wrong. Gigantamax Super Saiyan Cat Mario.
Yeah, gigantic. Yeah, like on screen, I've got the model. That dead ass looks like someone just went like Super Saiyan. Like, why? Why? Oh. It dead ass looks like Mario just turned into a furry Super Saiyan.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I didn't know how to react to it. But no, it looks super fun. I actually can't wait to give this a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I was already planning on getting, because I've never played Super Mario 3D World. I kind of at that point was boycotting 3D Mario because I wanted a more traditional sandbox one.
Mm-hmm.
We got that with Odyssey,
Yeah.
so I don't really have any reason to complain.
Yep. And there
Yeah,
is
really being fantastic, so I can't wait to try it.
yeah, and there is local co-op because you have Bowser Jr. as your playable partner, I guess.
Yeah, I saw that. So it seemed like the player with the second Joy-Con or a second controller could run around, attack enemies, paint. It doesn't seem like the traditional 4-player style of gameplay you see from Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah.
Which is why I still stand by my statement that I think it really looks like a Super Mario Odyssey level just added to 3D World.
Yeah, you're kind of not wrong. You're kind of not
Because
wrong
otherwise,
there.
I'm not sure how that would work with multiple other players outside of just player 2.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a Mario and player 2 Cappy situation.
Yeah, yes, actually. Yeah. You're not
Yeah,
wrong.
so that's what I'm saying. It really, really feels like that this is just a Super Mario Odyssey level painted onto this game. And
yeah.
I wonder if that means that we're not going to see Super Mario Odyssey 2 anytime soon or at all, actually. And I wonder if this is kind of the extent of everything else they were working on.
Who knows on that one? Who knows? Apparently you can select to start on Bowser's Fury from the menu. So, like in the main menu, you'll be able to select either to play Super Mario 3D World or play Bowser's Fury. So you can just start by playing Bowser's Fury.
Interesting. So it's like a separate add-on. So it really does feel like a different game then.
Kinda, yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting because when I was looking at this and I was making like the comparisons to like Super Mario Odyssey and whatnot, and how Bowser Jr. was kind of like Cappy and whatnot.
Yeah.
I assumed that this was going to be something you would play after you finished the playthrough of the game or whatever. It'd be like at the very end or something.
Yeah, yeah. I could
didn't realize this was a separate selectable thing in the menu. So that just piques my interest even more because at this point, I wonder if this could have been Super Mario Odyssey DLC if they ever had planned on doing it.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely right. It could have been, but who knows? Who knows if it actually was? Now, hilariously, this is I think the third Mario game to have a plus Bowser something.
Yep. Unfortunately, because you have the Mario and Luigi series that did it twice. For both of their remake/remasters.
Yep. Yep. Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Enemies, I'm pretty sure, was the first one. And then over here,
Bowser Jr.
Yeah, and then we have Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey, which is hilariously on the you might also like on the website that I'm viewing the Bowser's Fury stuff on, which just makes this even funnier. Oh, it's
really unfortunate in regards to Mario and Luigi, considering that very small side add-on that nobody really liked is part of the reason why the series is dead now.
Yeah.
But
But this looks to be the best plus Bowser content in any of the Mario games that have had the plus Bowser content.
yeah, so moving right along,
Oh!
we see that
Oh, there's one more thing, Slade.
yep.
So
go on.
announced alongside the Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury trailer was there's going to be a Mario Edition Switch.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So you will get a red Switch, a red Switch dock, a blue Joy-Con grip. What looks to be, I'm not sure that's the neon. That definitely doesn't look like the neon red Joy-Cons, but it also doesn't look like those Mario Odyssey Joy-Cons that were like Japan exclusive. So it's like a different red, and then you have blue like Joy-Con bumpers for like when you're doing split Joy-Con. And you also
look closely, Byron. You can see that the Joy-Cons are the same color as the dock in the Switch itself.
yeah. Well,
so that's the match colors.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and and then you also get this carrying case with like Mario's face, Mario's overalls, and Mario's glove on it.
Right.
And that will be retailing for $2.99, so the standard price of a Switch. But yeah, there is a Mario Edition Switch. What do you think of this?
Kind of makes me think that COVID pushed a lot of this back. I think this game, Super Mario 3D World, was supposed to come out last year. This Switch right here is also probably supposed to come out last year, but
yeah, I could definitely
it makes a lot
see
of
that.
sense. COVID pushed a lot of things back. It was difficult for everybody.
Yeah, and this will be available in like a little over a month.
Yeah, because it's available in what, February?
Yeah, I think mid-February. Yeah, sometime there. Yeah, mid-February we have the first time we're seeing a different colored Joy-Con like controller grip as well, which is interesting. And it makes sense that it's blue because it looks like, oh, Mario's like has like the red shirt, and you're putting the Joy-Cons into the blue controller grip, which is the overalls.
I wonder if we'll see a Zelda themed one.
I didn't predict this during our predictions show last week, but I could definitely see a Zelda themed Switch for sure. I could see it 100%. I would be shocked if there wasn't a Zelda themed Switch. I understand why there wasn't like at launch, but like I would be shocked if there wasn't a Zelda Switch. And we have one last topic, Slade. What is that?
Okay, so recently announced, we have seen the revival of a game company that I'm personally very happy to see, LucasFilm's games. So, makers of Star Wars games like Star Wars Pod Racing for the N64, and I think the X Squadron games, Battlefront. But the reason why this is a huge deal is because this also means EA no longer has the exclusive rights to make Star Wars games, which is absolutely fantastic. Byron, what's your take on this?
It is A, I'm shocked they're back. B, it's great that EA will no longer exclusively have the Star Wars license. Maybe there will be better, less microtransaction-y Star Wars games available to the public.
That's where I'm at as well. Ubisoft isn't exactly the paragon of like all things good and great.
Yes.
Either.
Yes. So
I think the fact that you have EA and Ubisoft as well as other companies making these games, will mean that there's a bit of competition, which will kind of push microtransactions and whatnot down the back burner, and gameplay and experiences become much more important.
Hopefully, but yeah, and as you mentioned, we had two announcements from Lucasfilm's games. First off, a Ubisoft and Massive Games story-driven open world Star Wars adventure in development. So that's going to be very interesting for Star Wars fans. They're going to get a story-driven open world Ubisoft style game with their franchise. Right?
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what that game's going to end up being.
Mm-hmm.
And just for Star Wars games overall, because So I really feel like even though EA has kind of pushed this whole resurgence of Star Wars or whatever,
Mhm.
I kind of felt like Star Wars game hasn't really been super relevant in the forefront since the early 2000s.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong about that. Like,
So I hope that this is a push that this series needs to kind of return to the forefront
yeah,
outside of some new controversy in regards to microtransactions in EA.
that or a Lego game.
I'm super happy about that.
That
So, last tidbit of news we have is we got a trailer for new Pokemon Snap. And
yes,
their
we
release date in April this year. So,
yes we did.
that's definitely a game I'm looking forward to. I love the original Pokemon Snap. I played it religiously, and I can't wait to play that. Byron, what do you think?
Well, first off, we are fucking what? We are 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks into the new year, and I'm already taking L's. I'm already taking prediction L's on this because I'm like, oh, new Pokemon Snap makes sense to be a summer game. Nah, it's April, and I'm like, oh,
I don't think April's that far off of summer. I don't think I don't think you made a bad prediction. I kind of figured, regardless of whether it was summer or spring or whatever,
Mhm.
it would be in the first half of the year anyway. So this makes a lot of sense.
yes,
This also leads credence to the rumors that there might be a new Pokemon game that comes out this year, but maybe not as new
not as
as
new,
we're thinking.
not
It
as
might
new.
be a certain old game that people have been asking for a while.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just a random scrub talking about on a podcast. Literally, who the hell asked, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, literally, literally. But yeah,
anyways, I think that's everything we have for today. Byron, you got anything else, buddy?
one last note on Ubisoft. Well, on the Lucasfilms games, there is apparently going to be an Indiana Jones game with by Bethesda.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Well, it's also made by Bethesda, so now I'm wary.
yeah, it's Bethesda. I briefly showed it on the screen before we hopped over quick to talk about the Pokemon Snap. But yeah, there will be a Bethesda Indiana Jones game. But it's Bethesda. Well, Bethesda is under the new Microsoft ownership, so who knows, right?
Yeah, who knows? You know, you could be right.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is going to be a Microsoft exclusive or not.
Ooh, it might be. Who knows? Yeah, it might very well be. So, yes, Slade, do you have anything else before I give the outro?
No, that'll be everything. That's all I got.
No? Alrighty, well, thank you everybody for watching. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and also ring that bell so you can be notified of when we upload new episodes. You can also like the video if you enjoyed it, comment down below if you have anything or any questions for us. Links to everything that we talked about, if you want to read stuff in more detail, down in the description below, as well as all of our social media links. I'm Byron, alongside Slade.
Slade.
And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.